Hi friends and family. So if you're ever wondering about this spot, if you think it's in the middle of nowhere, you're not wrong. It is in the middle of nowhere, but there is a paved sidewalk, so you don't have to walk on the road or on the side of the road. I mean, technically you're on the side of the road, but it's a sidewalk and it's well maintained because, like I said, they do yearly pilgrimages over here. And then if you're ever curious to find out, they also do parking, and there is fees. I'll tell you the numbers right here. See, 60 euros for a motorcycle, 90 euros for a car. Very reasonable prices. And for buses, the prices go up for bigger. And there is a nice parking lot. See, this is the parking lot area right here. And then I'm assuming that's the tourist center right over there. So this place is pretty modernized, especially being one of the pilgrimage areas of the whole region, a very popular one. And they have all kinds of languages to welcome you here, so you don't feel disgraced or shunned because you don't speak their language. See, lots of ways to say hello, welcome. If you're trying to get here from Šiauliai city, go to the main bus station. From there, you're gonna get from, my notes right here. You're gonna go from Šiauliai to Jonisk. All right, it's usually a platform 12. That's what it was for me in November 2022. And then the buses kind of run almost every other hour, and you're not even coming back, so don't worry about that. And the bus station is about a 2-kilometer stop. You're gonna stop at Dormity station. And the bus driver will let you know, especially if you tell him crosses. He'll know that you're a tourist. He'll tell you when to stop at which station, which is Dormity. And then you're gonna walk 2 kilometers, which is about a little less than a mile over here to the crosses. All right. I was walking on the edge of Estonia, and I was near some farmlands on the side of the road, and I couldn't help but look how peaceful it looked. And when I was walking by the farmland, something told me, go this way. And I looked, and it's just nothing but farms. Granted, the land has already been harvested. It's in winter time now. And I felt this feeling that I needed to walk a straight line to see the Baltic Ocean. So I followed that feeling and I went straight. I felt this, I shouldn't destroy any crops on this farmer's land. So just walk on the land where it had nothing but weeds and grass. So I just kept going straight and just followed my intuition. I was surprised to see that at the edge of the land there was a cross erected. Now, I don't know if that was a cross made to be a cross, or maybe it's just a marker saying don't cross here, because if you do you'll fall off the edge. But I followed it to a cross, and I took it as a sign. To me it was a sign, because I've been dealing with something for a very long time, and only very few people have been following me on this story. I've been telling the story to, but I think the message needs to be left out or get out there. But I've been holding this in, like my dad knows, like important people know what I've been dealing with. I also have been dealing with it by myself. I'm not the only one. But my time in the military, it's been really rough getting out and transitioning to become a civilian. I got out this year, 2022, but that's not the rough part. It's the journey, it's the story that I was dealing with. And what I mean is, I carry a lot of a burden on my shoulder. And this is my confession. Every U.S. enlisted military service member makes this type of oath. I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear the truth, faith, and allegiance to the same. That I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me, according to regulations and Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God. The First Amendment was proposed September 25th, 1789, and ratified December 15th, 1791. The definition goes, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Ever since I was a child, I used to run around my neighbor's backyard and dodge their dogs to pretend I was a U.S. soldier. I've always dreamed of protecting my country and for the freedom it stood for. 2019, I was celebrating New Year's at the Lantern Festival in Chiang Mai, Thailand. I noticed a lot of health stations throughout my travels in Southeast Asia and at the airports. It was slightly off the baseline as we were all welcome to the new year. The world's citizens didn't know at the time, but the government agencies and different governments did. In 2020, it became a year of not a pandemic, but the start of the new liberal world order.
Building and sustaining the liberal international world order, with the United States and Europe at its core.
We've established a liberal world order.
The new world order.
Of the liberal world order.
What's been called the liberal world order.
We can all agree, 2020 through 2022 and even 2023, things changed.
Right thing, and we will get through this. For the unvaccinated, you're looking at a winter of severe...
The White House put out a statement and it reads as thus. For the unvaccinated, you're looking at a winter of severe illness and death for yourselves, your families, and the hospitals you may soon overwhelm. So, our message to every American is clear. There is action you can take to protect yourself and your family. Wear a mask in public indoor settings. Get vaccinated, get your kids vaccinated, and get a booster shot when you're eligible. This is a statement that came from the White House. This is their deposition.
This is not about freedom or personal choice. It's about protecting yourself and those around you, the people you work with, the people you care about, the people you love. My job as president is to protect all Americans. So tonight, I'm announcing that the Department of Labor is developing an emergency rule to require all employers with 100 or more employees that together employ over 80 million workers to ensure their workforces are fully vaccinated.
8,500 U.S. service members were kicked out from the U.S. military for not taking the COVID-19 vaccine. Title 10 Law Section 1107 Alpha was created in the 90s to protect service members from vaccine injuries, which was created to prevent the same injuries to this day. This wasn't a lawful coercion from a vaccine mandate to use on trials on service members by the government. Every member who has been kicked out for refusing or submitted religious accommodation but denied have all been kicked out unlawfully. Religious conversation is sacred and should remain sacred. A conversation only between you and your God. I suppose in an institute environment, the support by your religious leaders should be involved, but it was a forced conversation between the individual filing for religious accommodation and the U.S. government, forcing your God out of this conversation. Until this day, service members in the U.S. are still facing scrutiny for their religious beliefs, a modern-day religious persecution by the U.S. government, and a modern-day purge of patriots who took that oath to support and defend the U.S. Constitution. 6 defining characteristics of totalitarianism. Number 1. An elaborate guiding ideology, typically focused around patriotism and loyalty to the state above all else. Number 2. A single political party, typically led by a dictator. Number 3. Use of instruments of terror, such as violence and secret police to control the population. Number 4. A government monopoly on weapons. Number 5. A government monopoly on means of communication, such as state-controlled media and heavy censorship. Number 6. A state-controlled economy. Definition of totalitarianism from the Britannica Dictionary is a form of government that attempts to assert total control over the lives of its citizens. It is characterized by a strong central rule that attempts to control and direct all aspects of individuals' lives through coercion and repression. Throughout my adventures of learning about the former Soviet bloc countries, you start seeing a trend with these characteristics appear throughout the infamous USSR. Gulag camps, the KGB, and dictators such as Joseph Stalin. It is very clear that the Soviet Union is a prime example of totalitarianism. My question is, how close are we in the Western cultures to be in comparison to the Soviet Union? This song playing in the background was sung by a prominent Soviet figure by the name of Mark Burns. But the Soviet regime considered this song unpatriotic due to the painting and reality of war that the army actually felt towards the war and the cause. Some people in the present day would actually consider this song glorifying the USSR. How ironic. Ironically enough, I will receive a similar treatment from those who think I'm glorifying the USSR, who also think I'm an anti-vaxxer. Some people who will also be pushing to censor me. But this is okay. You form your own opinions. You make your own conclusions. If I go with more full detail about my stance on both COVID and totalitarianism, ironically enough, YouTube has a ruthless reputation for censoring. And it all sounds very familiar. Very familiar. Just like the CERN hammer and sickle regime that I've been talking about. What's really great about the history behind Hillcross here in Lithuania, it's about a little less than 15 kilometers outside of the town of Šiauliai. And back when Lithuania was occupied by the Russian Empire back in like the 1900s, it was like 1910 or 1915. Before that, they tried to get their independence. Now the Polish and the Lithuanians, they fought against the Russian Empire just to gain their independence, and the battle happened somewhere around here. Now, it didn't last long. It probably lasted for like 6 months, and the Lithuanians weren't able to get their independence. Then the Russian Empire turned to the Soviet Union. Well, before that, the people used to come here and leave unmarked crosses for the graves of those who have fallen and passed away. And I mean, they can never find the graves of the ones who died. So that's how the tradition of leaving crosses here started here at Hill Cross. So then, during the occupation of the Soviet Union this time, the Soviet Union is a communist country, so they see religion as a burden, and they don't acknowledge religion at all. So the Lithuanian people had to somewhat be able to practice a religion without the turmoil, the consequences from the Soviet Union. So thanks to the Polish, the Archbishop was able to smuggle some literature and the Bible over here to the Lithuanians so they could practice in silence and secretly. During that time when they were practicing silently, the majority of the religion that makes up the Lithuanian people is Roman Catholicism. Then you have the Orthodox, Christian Orthodox. And then you have other religions, but Lithuania thrived with all sorts of religions before the Soviet Union came around. And of course there's paganism here. But for the most part, it was at peace until the Soviet Union made it worse. And when the Soviet Union discovered that they had crosses here, they started destroying the crosses. But just like in the Bible, when you contribute more than 10%, you get tenfold. So when the Soviets are destroying these crosses, more crosses came, and they started popping up here more and more and more. And the Soviets just kept on destroying this place, but the crosses still kept coming. So eventually it got to the point where there was a lot of crosses here, and to this day I think there's like well over 200,000 crosses. But it's so beautiful because the symbolic reason behind all these crosses and your faith, doesn't matter what your faith is. My faith, I'm a Christian, is that don't let anything keep destroying you. Don't let anything keep bringing you down. No matter what life throws at you and the burdens and obstacles that you have to overcome in life, you're not the only one. You put your faith in God. Even if you don't believe in God, all it takes is just a little bit of tiny mustard seed of faith. Even if you think it's too late, it's not. That's all it takes, is that size. And you put it on His shoulders because He'll help you overcome. And that's what this whole journey for me to come here has helped me understand. Because with my confession of dealing with wrath, betrayal, anger, depression, I just stare at this cross right here. It's barely being held up. And it's burnt, and yet it still stands, just like a lot of crosses here, just like the symbolism of how the Soviet Union would come here and destroy these crosses. They still stood, they still held their ground, and they multiplied. Even during the Russian Empire too, crosses popped up, people had faith, and they multiplied. We need a lot of faith right now in this year, like 22, 21, 20, 2019 even. It's been a crazy ride, my friends and family. And I started my YouTube channel in 2019. It's been a crazy ride. Started traveling with my best friend right here, William Hong. We made a promise that we'll travel the world together, and here we are. The Hill of Crosses in Lithuania. don't know how many crosses are here in Cross Hill, but make this another one to add. We'll put it on the year 2022. It's been a hell of a year, my friends and family. It's been a hell of a year.
Get it.
Hello, understand English?
No.
No. Ты говоришь по-русски?
Да.
Да, окей. Это автобус Клайпедия?
Да.
Да?
Да.
Окей, сколько стоит?
13 сколько-то с чем-то. Так, сейчас посмотрим. Поедешь, да?
Да.
Так, 34 и Клайпеда, да? Клайпеда будет 14
Окей,
ровно.
хорошо.
Окей?
Yeah. To Клайпедия, да?
Я.
Окей.
Вот. Лет.
Лет.
6. А в багаж не хотел положить? Багаж?
Окей, хорошо.
Да, я. Багаж. И сумку эту.
О, нет,
Не?
нет,
Ну
нет.
хорошо, эту положи там только багаж.
Yeah, yeah.
Багаж.
I hope no one takes this. Let's see what the stores are like here in Lithuania. Alright, friends and family, here we are in Klaipėda on the west coast of Lithuania. About to be our last few hours here, and ain't nothing better to celebrate being in the old Eastern Europe, a country that's creating its identity after being part of the Soviet Union bloc. Ain't nothing better than having a beer and these old Soviet Union apartments. You got some new ones being built. They're not Soviet. New era buildings. Ain't nothing better. I loved this Baltic states. There's something about them. And I cherish every single moment with every single person I've met. Everyone has taken their time, even off camera, to explain to me their cultures, their struggles, their perseverance. I'm gonna miss being over here. I love Eastern Europe. All right, friends and family, I hope y'all enjoyed this adventure just like as much as I did. Until next time, on our next journey, I hope we'll do it again. Goodbye.
Pandemic of the unvaccinated.